Walking away is not giving up. It is the most powerful communication a man can send without saying a word. Most men stay too long. They stay in conversations that are going nowhere. They stay in dynamics that are clearly unbalanced. They keep showing up, keep investing, keep hoping that the energy will eventually shift in their direction. And what they do not realize is that the staying, the unconditional, bottomless staying, is part of what is keeping things exactly as they are. Because here is what the psychology of human behavior consistently shows. When something is always available, always present, always waiting regardless of how it is treated, its perceived value drops, not immediately, gradually, and almost invisibly. The moment that changes is when you walk away. Not as a strategy, not as a game, but as the genuine expression of a man who respects himself enough to stop investing where the return has consistently failed to match the effort. Today, we are breaking down exactly what happens in a woman's mind in that moment and why it consistently produces the most significant shift in any dynamic. Before we go any further, subscribe and drop a like right now. This channel exists to give men the real psychology behind the moments that actually change dynamics, rather than the advice that just makes you feel better temporarily. And the Magnetic Masculinity ebook in the description is the complete practical guide for men who want to understand how to move through every dynamic with genuine self-respect and genuine clarity. The link is below. Grab it today. Here is what I see in men who stay in dynamics well past the point they should have left. They have been patient. They have been understanding. They have extended benefit of the doubt more times than they can count. And they have done all of this from a genuine place because they care and they do not want to give up on something that mattered to them. But patience without standards is not a virtue. It is a signal. And the signal it sends is not that you are loyal or committed. It is that your presence does not require anything in return. That you will be there regardless of how the dynamic functions. That there is no cost to treating you with less than you deserve because you will stay anyway. That signal, sent consistently over time, does not create appreciation. It creates comfort. And comfort without respect is one of the most damaging places a man can settle into. The man who finally walks away disrupts that comfort. And disruption is the first step toward any genuine shift. Psychologist Dr. Robert Cialdini identified the scarcity principle as one of the most consistent and powerful drivers of human perception and desire. His research found that people assign significantly more value to things when access to them is reduced. This is not a conscious calculation. It happens automatically in the brain below the level of deliberate thought. When you have been consistently present and you suddenly are not, her brain is forced to recalibrate. The automatic assumption of your availability is removed, and in the space that creates, something that was invisible suddenly becomes visible. Your value. Dr. Helen Fisher's research on romantic attachment found that the brain's longing and desire pathways are activated most powerfully not by presence, but by absence. The neurological experience of missing someone is far more emotionally intense than the experience of having them available. And that intensity produces a clarity about what that person actually meant that ordinary day-to-day proximity rarely generates. In simple terms, she did not fully understand what you were worth until she experienced what your absence felt like. Here is what happens in her mind. Here is the sequence that research and real experience consistently show. First, discomfort. The first response to your walking away is discomfort, not necessarily grief, not necessarily immediate realization, just the disruption of a pattern she had become used to without actively appreciating it. Your texts were there. Now they are not. Your energy was available. Now it is not. The dynamic she had organized herself around has changed, and that change registers in her nervous system before her conscious mind has processed it. Second, attention. Her attention, which had become habituated to your presence, is now activated by your absence. Habituation is one of the most consistent findings in attention research. We stop noticing things that remain constant. We notice immediately when something we had stopped noticing is no longer there. You were constant. You are no longer constant. And now she is noticing. Third, reassessment. With her attention newly activated, she begins to reassess, not the relationship abstractly, specifically. What was he actually like? What did he actually give? What is different now that he is not here? And this reassessment, driven by the contrast of his absence against his presence, almost always produces a higher valuation than the one she was operating from when he was there. Fourth, desire. This is where the dynamic shifts most significantly. Dr. Fisher's research found that psychological reactance, the human drive to restore access to things that have been removed, produces a specific quality of desire that is more intense than ordinary attraction. She does not just miss you, she wants to restore access to you. And that desire carries a weight and an urgency that was simply not present when you were available without condition. Here is the important distinction that this video is really about. None of this is an argument for using walking away as a manipulation tactic. That framing misses the point entirely and produces results that are hollow at best. Walking away works when it is genuine, when it reflects a real decision by a man who has decided that his time, his energy, and his emotional investment are worth more than the current dynamic is offering. The man who walks away strategically, hoping she will chase, is still making her the center of the decision. He is still operating from a place where her response determines whether he was right to go. The man who walks away genuinely is making himself the center of the decision. He is saying, regardless of what she does next, I am choosing to direct my investment somewhere that serves me. And that genuine self-directedness is both the most dignified version of this decision and the most attractive one. She feels the difference. Every time. Here is what walking away is really about when it is done correctly. It is not about her reaction. It is not about what happens next. It is about the quality of the relationship you have with yourself. About whether you have built enough self-respect to stop subsidizing dynamics that were never going to become what you actually need. The man who walks away from something that was not working does two things simultaneously. He protects himself from continuing to invest in a diminishing return, and he communicates to everyone around him, including himself, that his presence is something of genuine value rather than something that is simply always available. Those two things together are what create the shift. Not the tactic, the truth behind it. Walk away when it is right to walk away. Not to produce a specific outcome, but because you have decided that you deserve better than what you are currently accepting, and let the results be whatever they are. If this gave you clarity on something you have been sitting with, like this video and subscribe for more content that gives men the real psychology behind the moments that matter. And if you want the complete framework for how to move through every dynamic, every relationship, and every situation in your dating life with genuine self-respect and genuine clarity, the Magnetic Masculinity ebook is in the description. It is practical. It is honest. It is the guide I wish I had years earlier. The link is below. Grab it today.